There's even like people who were born during a Venus retrograde have very auspicious. You were born during a Venus retrograde.
Oh, shit.
So that, which explains so much about your artsy fartsiness. Margot Robbie, born during a Venus retrograde.
Okay, word up.
Like,
word up.
it's a beautiful transit. I'm jealous. Like, I was like, how close was I? I'm not in it. But when Venus goes retrograde, it makes a really beautiful pattern, like a mandala, like in the sky. If you trace the outline, it looks like a flower when it goes retrograde, like how it moves. It's really pretty.
Okay, so what does retrograde mean really quick?
Okay, so retrogression is when a planet, its apparent motion, when you look at it, it appears to go backward, and then it actually does. Like, let's say Venus is going through, its last retrograde was in Cancer. So it's moving through Cancer. It starts going retrograde, so it starts going back. So it'll, like, instead of keep going forward from Cancer to Leo, it'll move backwards and, like, reverse. It's like, imagine put the car in reverse. It goes back. And then it causes, like, depending on the planet, it can be wonky or it can be beautiful. Mercury retrograde, wonky. Venus, beautiful. Sex, money, drugs. Like artsy things. Like this past Venus retrograde was so fun. It was so naughty.
When was it?
This was over the summer. This was
Oh, I had a good summer.
right? It was like August through September was the Venus retrograde. It was so nice. I thought so. It was over my ascendant, so I was like it was great.
Okay, cool. So when what do you mean when it comes backwards? It starts like the fucking planet isn't moving backwards.
It is. So, like, for example, Venus, it was, when it was going retrograde, it had, like, moved this past summer. It was, like, in Leo a little bit. But then when it went retrograde, it went back into Cancer. And then once it went
But hold on, wait. So, these planets, they go, they orbit around the sun.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
So you're trying to tell me that this Venus is going clockwise or counterclockwise. I'm going counterclockwise right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it started coming back this way.
Yes.
Are you sure that's actually happening?
Oh my God. I'm quite positive that's what's happening. You can tell you can look at the degree that the planet is in. So let's say if it was at 28 degrees of Cancer, and then all of a sudden it's at 15 degrees of Cancer. It's been going backwards. You can look it up. I'm not making this up.
Like, is this like scientifically proven?
This is scientifically proven.
Okay.
That's why the pattern that it makes, you can see, like.
Well, why the fuck doesn't the Earth do that? It's always, there's never any talk about the Earth. It's always different fucking planets. Why is
That's very true.
Why is that?
From what I learned.
What about your Mars? Why isn't there a fucking Mars?
Mars goes retrograde.
Okay.
All of the planets go retrograde.
Okay. Besides Earth.
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. We never talk about Earth. It's like we're on Earth, so we're just experiencing the light from the planets that affect us. So, like, for example, lunatic comes from La Luna, the moon.
We're experiencing the light.
That's like Jyotish's like phrasing of it, 'cause it's the science of light. These light bodies, the stars, the planets. We're experiencing those effects. So, like, the moon affects tidal waves and tsunamis. Like, sailors factor it in.
Right.
Humans should be 70% water if you're hydrated. So it affects us.
Right.
Statistically.
And I've heard that our bodies are like fucking a small percentage of rock as well.
Okay.
No? Like dust and rock.
Oh my God, we're starlight. Stop. That's so cute.
That's what I've heard. Okay, so but anyways, okay, so right. So are we actually experiencing the light, or are we experiencing their relation to Earth and the gravitational pull between them, us, and the sun?
So both. And that explains why, like, the light portion, Jyotish doesn't recognize Uranus, Pluto, or Neptune, the outer planets. Because it's like, it's a bit naive, I think, this reasoning. It's like, if we can't see it, then it doesn't affect us. And I'm like, that sounds like you're putting your head in the sand a little bit. But Jyotish doesn't recognize those planets. Like, with the naked eye, I can see Saturn, I can see Jupiter, I can see Venus. You can see Jupiter and Venus quite often, like in the night. Jupiter is really pretty at night. If it's not too cloudy, I can show you when we go outside.
Right.
But yeah, so the gravitational pull, and like, especially like Saturn returns are super, super gnarly. They happen like every 28-ish years. And a lot of people, like the 27 Club, has been linked to people's Saturn returns. Like if you look at their charts, it's like fucking crazy. Yeah, I did a little experiment with my friend. We were looking at Saturn returns at the 27 Club, and we were like there's other factors too, but it's like Saturn had an effect on that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so Ted Bundy
Oh my God.
was killing during his
Venus
retrograde.
So he was born during a Venus retrograde, and unfortunately, his Venus is very beautiful. His Venus is so, like in his chart, his Venus is unafflicted. It's retrograde. It's in its own sign of Taurus. It's with Jupiter. Like, it's a fucking nice Venus. And that was his whole thing, was he was this, like, charming, handsome guy who would lure women, young girls, because they were usually minors, in and be like, oh, I broke my arm. Could you help me carry my books to my car or whatever? And then he would hit them in the head and then kill them. So when he had, like, Venus went retrograde, a week later, he started his killing spree.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's... And then he was
Okay.
doing it on, like, the moon being in Taurus or Scorpio.
Okay, wow, that's crazy. You got to be the only person connecting these details. This is insane.
I'm writing a little something about it.